Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Mustache You, a question with Jen, James, Joey, and Michael. I like it.
Michael, we got to get you a J name.
We do got to get you a J name.
Jebediah.
There we go.
Jeremiah.
Jebediah, Joey, Jen, and James. That's your new stage name. So we just had a really cool thing happen at HQ. We had a gentleman stop in, and he was visiting his kids. He's from Los Angeles, and it turns out he's like the head of special effects for all the Marvel movies.
Oh,
and
nice.
He came in, he bought a whole bunch of stuff. He was like thoroughly impressed, said nothing but awesome things about our shop, and he couldn't believe that an independent company had the type of setup that we did. So it was a nice thing to hear. So that was the first cool thing. The second cool thing happened about 2 days ago. We had a gentleman come in, and he's from the Ukraine, and one of his friends is a cartoonist, and he has dual citizenship. And making a long story short, is they're raising money to help fight that battle. And did you just lose me?
We lost your camera.
We lost your camera. We can still hear you.
Oh, okay. Because I'm holding up the book. It looks gorgeous.
Oh no!
So long story short, there's this. It's all in. I think, is it Ukrainian or is it in Russian? What language do the Ukrainians speak? Do you know? Either of you? And
I think they have.
Well, I apologize. It's not in
They have
English.
their own
That's all I know. But it looks absolutely gorgeous. And obviously, we need to translate it. But
I
it's
know.
really
Why
cool.
can't we see you?
Can't see you either now, Joey.
I know. Well,
like the stream is
trying to
eating
do-
us.
Yes.
I'm
I
trying
was
to do
the
some
first to
stuff
go.
behind.
Ukrainian people speak Ukrainian. It is its own
Yeah.
language.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
they're-
you. You Googled it. So it's
Yeah, I
in
did.
Ukrainian, but it's this really gorgeous hardcover. And it's got
I
like
love the
a
sound of it.
dystopian feel, but he shared with the staff here kind of what was going on and how they were supporting the people back home. And
That's
it was
cool.
again, that's one of the really cool things. I imagine, Jen, you have some really cool stories about people just popping in. Has anybody, we always talk about questions on the show. What was like some cool experiences at your shop where people have walked in, like whether famous people or just interesting people in general? Do you have any quick stories about that?
Yeah, honestly, my favorite thing is there's been quite a few times where family members of somebody who has work that's out that week will come in and say, or that they're coming out soon. They'll be like, my son or my nephew or my niece or whatever is working on book X, and I want to support them by buying some of their issues from a local comic shop. It's just always so cool to see their direct family being, going out there and making sure that everybody knows that their loved one is working in comic books and they're proud of it and they want to buy their work. That always makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's.
Show it.
You guys see me now?
Yeah, we can see you now.
Okay,
We can
awesome.
totally see you now.
Now you can
You want-
just see only me, huh?
Do you want to show the? Can you show the
Oh, the book. Yes.
the book?
So this is the book. And here, I'll show you some
Oh,
of
that's so
Oh
cool!
gosh.
Wow.
like it's just pretty amazing art.
Oh wow. That is
My
way
dad
cool.
gets
Anamorphic.
animals doing people things. I'm telling
Yeah,
Oh,
it's got a
man.
a mouse feeling. Is it mouse or moss?
Yeah. Mouse.
I've never knew how to pronounce that. And you know what? I took 3 years of German in school. And I really think I passed it. I had all A's. It was definitely I think I'm charmed because I don't remember much German. But it looks gorgeous. And this has got like a spot UV cover. You can kind of see it
Mhm.
That is very
on this hardcover.
That's way
So
cool. That's way cool.
yeah, I'm gonna reach out to it. I guess there's a whole bunch more there, but it'd be a really cool, really good cause from the sounds of it, to help
Yeah.
support. They're giving a lot of money back to the Ukrainian people. So
You know
That's
what
very
somebody
cool.
needs to make? I mean, I don't know how much infrastructure it would take to make such a thing. To make an app specifically for comic books and graphic novels that if you hover it over the comic book, it does like virtual translation. So
virtual translation.
Yeah,
Where
so
you're
it-
going
it
down
shows-
was something that we were actually kind of working on.
That's
Kind of
like,
like
so you could have that book, just keep it in its original language, so it's still in
Yeah.
its beautiful language.
Mhm.
But then you just have your phone and hover it over, and it just like this speech bubble says this.
I think you just uncovered like a multi-billion-dollar app and idea.
It's
That's
not
awesome.
hard. It's not hard because they have those the cameras where you can like the new updates and all that stuff on iPhone where you just hover over your thing and it scans the the words and it turns it into a file. So
Yeah, it's all
why
text.
why couldn't we just turn it into a language?
And then you got Shazam, right?
coding.
That still baffles me. Shazam, where you can just a couple seconds, put it up to a speaker, your phone, and it tells you what song it is.
Well, Google Translate, their camera feature, when you hover over a piece of text, it will even maintain the original font of what you're hovering over. So if you have something that's in, a weird comic style, but it has recognizable letters, it will just compose those to
so technically you're saying it already exists, Michael. We could probably hover it over it.
But it just doesn't work. It's not 100% workable. Like I would imagine that if you had an app via, let's say, a Scout translator app or something, we could tailor the experience to work way better.
Yeah.
Because right now it's just
you control the items. Yeah, with Google it's like it's anything, right? But possibly with the Scout version, we would it'd be the Scout books, right? That would translate.
Yeah. I mean, we could go from translation to localization, technically, if we had a proper thing. So, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not a prophet.
So we had a really big release week this week. Again, that's kind of going to be the norm for the next few weeks. We had Beyond the Beyond, which is amazing sci-fi series. Reminds me just a lot of like Redshift. I don't know if any of you guys read Redshift that we had come out last year. We're still waiting for the very last of the first volume, issue number 6. But some of these sci-fi stories that we've been getting over the past few months, submission-wise, have been just absolutely stellar. And Beyond the Beyond is one of them. Highly recommend that book. I know Pentagram of Horror by Marco Fontanelli, who's, again, King Jira.
I have assets to show if we can. Oh, my stupid new computer. You dumb thing. Never mind.
So angry, Joey.
I hate your computer. Dang computer. I'm trying to show you the dang assets, and it's not working.
It's all right. It's Pentagram Horror. We also have the next I want to say episode, but the next issue of North Bend Season 3. Another very underrated title from us. That's a total of 10 issues. We did it in 2 volumes, seasons. Yeah. And it's just about the MK Ultra program and essentially like a not too distant dystopian type of future. Highly recommend that series. We have the trade that came out, but and again, this new season that's is coming out monthly. But it's nice to actually be producing comics again. It's pretty wild. Yeah. All the cool stuff. Have I shared you guys the Comics on Coffee stuff that we're doing?
No.
Jen, have I shared that with you at all?
Well, I've seen the first one, the Phantom.
The Phantom one. All right, so I'm going to reveal it here for the first time.
I hear Comics on Coffee. I just need somebody using a comic book poster.
So we're doing a special program where we have bags of coffee, and then with bags of coffee, we're going to be doing comics, like limited edition runs that the cover matches the coffee. So, for example, here's a third wave.
Oh, yes. You did show this off.
And this is a 12-ounce bag. It has a copy of the, just like one of the pages. Sorry. And then it has a QR code for a digital. But we're going to do a cover that's like this. We're going to, knock on wood, solicit to, still got to talk to the team, but solicit to the, to the direct market where you get a bag of coffee and a comic. And then we're probably going to do some limited edition, like, I don't know, medals or some kind of thing where we sell on our Whatnot show and on our at our warehouse here and on our website. So here's another really cool one.
This is so cool.
Stabbity Bunny Mocha. So cool. One of my favorites. This is a Stefan.
Yeah. I saw some shops have that already in their displayed. It's so cool.
And then
oh man, these are so awesome. Look at that.
Do we is it
leaf count needs some chicory in it.
Chicory, yeah. And they have these little sample bags too.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
cool. Is there a possibility of doing tea as well?
Ooh.
No, they just do coffee.
They just do coffee? Okay.
Yeah, Tony, it's a husband-wife team. They're amazing, amazing people. We've become close friends. They have like the coffee shop basically set up. It's this coffee maker and a nitrous tab, 2 nitrous tabs for cold brew. And the third wave one, and they made it special. It's one of their favorites. It's got it's blueberry infused, kind of thinking the ocean, blue ocean. And it's absolutely delicious. But they're great. I mean, great partners, just great people. And we're really looking to take this to the next level. And by the way, the coffee is amazing too. It's not just like a cool concept, but if you're a coffee drinker, you will love this stuff. And they're letting the creators do input on the flavors of coffee. So the creators like, how about this? And we got some really cool ones. And I've been talking to numerous creators because we really want to start doing this, maybe something like on a quarterly basis where we come out with a comic and then eventually it's just the bag, where you just mass produce the bag and keep it in print, almost like print on demand. So that's one of the really cool things that we're kind of working on behind the scenes. What else has been going on? Jen, tell me, how's your new release week this week? As far as other books, not just Scout stuff. Like, has it been anything hot?
Okay,
First appearances?
So a weird thing happened this week because I'm kind of a Marvel girl, just traditionally. Yeah. But DC put out a book called Rogue, which does the things that I want from a book, which makes me really care about a character or characters. Because it takes Captain Cold and a bunch of the other old Rogues Gallery guys, which are kind of like, not main characters, and kind of puts them through the ringer. It shows them like 10 years out from them all breaking up. And they've, chosen as good a career as they can get probably for having having to have a parole officer that follows them around and all that stuff.
That it sounds like, it reminds me of Deadly Foes of Spider-Man. Did you ever read that?
Oh gosh, so long ago.
Yeah, I think that was Nick Spencer. I want to say it was Nick Spencer.
Nick always writes the good stuff. He knows what I want. He hits that emotional button all the time. But I really, really, really loved it. And it's one of those hard things, right? Because the pitch is hard to give. It's not a short pitch. Because it's really them coming back together and realizing they're super frustrated by their situations in life as they've kind of, they have all gray hair and all that kind of stuff. So Captain Cold's got an idea for a heist that he believes he can do, but only with specific people and under specific circumstances. And that never works. I'm just sure it's going to fall apart on them because, in a perfect world with everything controlled, it's one thing, but that's not the way things work.
I think that sounds awesome. How many is it? A miniseries or is it ongoing? Or they really didn't tell you?
It's part of their the black. I don't know why I can't remember the second word for their universe.
Caravan.
Are you talking about Black Label?
Yeah, it's part of their
Black Label
universe. So I think it's a short series. But there's a bunch
and it's just called Rogues. That sounds. You got me. So I want to. That sounds interesting. Right up my alley.
And then I really wanted to read Marco's book, but we're still waiting on our shipment in. So then I'm gonna have to tear.
Have you gotten any? Is it like? Has it been shipped out? I'll ask the girls here.
I haven't had anything in like 4 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, actually, I will. That's surprising because we did get stuff in not too long ago. No notification or anything.
No, I think possibly they're waiting on more stuff to come in and to.
No, because they're usually really under instructions of like as soon as we get it, send it out. Just because of that huge thing. I'll find out for you and I'll message you afterwards.
Yeah, just make sure it's not something that I've done dumbly on my end, like forgetting to push go on an order or something.
No, I think I can look at that while we're talking. But
I have nightmares.
Rogues, by the way. That was the first issue of Rogues that came out. That was the first issue, right?
And then there's ridiculous things that came out this week, like Godzilla versus or Power Rangers. Come on.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Totally a thing.
Godzilla versus
it's like It's like Rita Repulsa decides that she can use she has a magical staff of some sort that she can jump to another universe, I guess. So she's like, I'm going to run away from the Power Rangers because they're a pain in my backside. So she takes her and Goldar, and I think there's someone else she takes with her, and accidentally pulls along the Green Ranger, which, you know, if you're going to pull along a Ranger, that's the one that'll mess with you pretty good. Shows up in the new universe, and immediately Godzilla and all the rest of the kaiju are having a big, gigantic battle right in front of her. And sure, she's
Wow.
And the Green Ranger is the one with the big old dinosaur, right? I mean, they all do. Big T-Rex. That would make sense.
Remember Diamond, but Dynamite was doing some crazy crossovers. They did that to Army of Darkness and Marvel Zombies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they should do that. Like can you imagine Ash meeting the Power Rangers? Like,
oh man,
it would be incredible.
Speaking of which, did you hear that Doctor Strange 2 might have Ash from Evil Dead?
Oh, that would be amazing. That's right, because it's Sam Raimi, right?
It's Sam Raimi. So, and you know, the Doctor Strange and zombies things happening, so they might bring over, I think, characters from Evil Dead 2. And I'm just like, what?
What? Oh man,
cool. Yeah, that multiverse of madness stuff, like that's just so. It's limitless on what they can do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I'm sure it could be very close to jumping the shark if you don't do it carefully.
I think that people saw what Donnie did with crossover, and they're like, psh, the reins are off. Let's do it.
Yep. That's another great series. There was one that I've been absolutely, not to, pitch other. I'm a comic fan. I think we all know that, and I think we all are comic fans. But one of my favorite new series that's out that reminds me so much of Invincible, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it, is Radiant Black. Have you read that, Jen? It is stellar.
Did you see that Radiant Red started?
Radiant Red, yeah.
And wasn't there a big crossover too? They had like a prestige format. What was it called? Like, it was awesome in the word. I think something. But yeah, it's so like the art is amazing. Kind of really reminds me of Ryan Otley, and it's so good. It reminds me of Invincible. I remember the first time picking up Invincible like many moons ago, and I fell in love. I actually found Invincible before I found Walking Dead. And there was an ad in one of the things, and of course I've always been a huge, like a lot of us, zombie fan, and it was like something like, yes, finally an ongoing zombie tale. It doesn't have to be a movie. Like you can just keep going. And yeah, but Invincible, like I just remember reading it, and there was no kidding. It was like the world's best superhero comic. It was just amazing. And that's how I get when I read Radiant Black. It's very impressive how well that's drawn and written. So kudos. I think it's Kyle Higgins who's the artist or the writer. Very well done.
Oh wow.
James, has there ever been anything that's crossed past your desk as an kind of like a pitch for a book that you then saw later with someone else, and you were like, yeah, I'm a dummy.
Yeah. One was it was a very popular webcomic called Ava's Demons. It was like one of the most popular one, and then felt like a real dummy because we couldn't do it. Really the hammering point is we didn't have the bandwidth nor the funding because they were done in panels to pay somebody to properly structure it into an actual print format, and it looked like Skybound picked it up, and then they did a Kickstarter, and I think they raised over $1 million. Wow. So yeah, that was one of them where I was like, oh man. Again, I would highly recommend it. Ava's Demons. It's very, very cool concept, and they started off as a web comic. And typically, I don't know if you guys knew this, but web comics make some of the most successful Kickstarters because they build up this fan base over the years, and then that fan base wants to have it in print. We are in a collectible industry, so that was one. There was a couple other books that was picked up by Dark Horse. There was one by Ben Kahn, Heavenly Blues, that was picked up by Dark Horse that we were it was left in going back and forth between the submission team that we missed out on. But then there was one that was really amazing that we did land, and it's been released, is Ranger Stranger. When that first came out, we found something out at Comics Pro. There's this one shop, and I can't remember the name of the shop, but on their TV in the background, if you guys haven't already, YouTube search Ranger Stranger. and there's some videos that are on loop that the Tyler and his crew did, and they're hysterical. But there's a shop that literally plays it constantly on the loop, and he's like, it's like a water cooler, you know, where people talk about it. They're like, what is that? And then Ranger Stranger. But I talked with him. I had a long call with him yesterday, and he has another book that he pitched to us, and we're gonna we've come to terms. We're gonna sign it, and it's awesome. Nice. It's a horror comedy. I can't reveal anymore until we sign it, but Tyler is a really cool dude. Tyler Jensen is his name, and he just has some really cool concept, and he's a hell of an artist. But Ranger Stranger was one of those where I was just like, I want this book so bad, because I would buy it. And if you haven't, it's like little those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's this fictitious like park ranger who's like a psychopath, and he gives terrible advice, and they're done in these like 2 to 3 page comic strips, and it's laugh out loud funny. Issue 2
it's grimy, it's cringy, it's hilarious, it's all of those things.
I've been called
it screams Adult Swim. It screams Adult Swim. Another one that I was really impressed with, and you're gonna notice a lot of them are comedy. I love comedy. Is Mullet Cop. It's another genius book. Just so you know, Jen, the next one shot comes out in July. It's complete.
Excellent.
It's awesome. It's so insane. And when you read, if I tell you what it's about, like, people are like, really? And it's just like, it's so brilliantly done. And Tom, who's the creator, he does everything. It's a totally different than his normal style. He did a manga version, a comic called, one of the first Scalpos called Gearion. Michael, I think, discovered it. Didn't you at New York Comic Con, Michael? Many years ago.
Yeah, and the idea that that the brain that created Gearion is also the brain that did Mullet Cop makes it's just like, I have to ask you, just like, do you take severe medication for the multiple personalities that you have? There's no way that this equals that and that equals this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, when we tell people that or put them next to each other, people are just in awe, and that just shows talent from an artist, right? Doing different styles. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So those are some of the ones where I was just like, I have to get it.
James, did you guys at Scout HQ, did you decorate your microwave to look like the Mall Industries 2000?
Oh my God, we haven't, but we need to. Great idea.
And you specifically need to change the buttons to say the things that
is such a good idea. We're going to totally do that. And what Jen's talking about, there's like a secret computer who like basically talks to him. Think James Bond, because he goes, Mullet Cop is a police officer that goes undercover in this futuristic mall run by gangs as a manager of a buffet restaurant. Right? Like this is the pitch. And one of his lead, like his money penny, is this microwave. And with Comic Book Shopping Network, we did a variant for that, which is such a cool one, and it's basically a cover of the microwave. It's so awesome.
Now, I want to know: are we gonna get a crossover with the mall and Mullet Cop?
I'm in.
That'd be cool.
We'll talk to Tom. I don't know how that would work, but that would be great. Mullet Cop gets transported in time back into the 80s.
Something awesome, man. And he lives it up because he fits in.
Yes. Now there's with that mullet, absolutely. The other
it doesn't take place in the 80s.
What was that?
Are we sure it doesn't take place in the 80s?
Yeah, we're not entirely sure. It's got that like 80s movie vibe, right? What the 80s think the future is going to look like, kind of feel. Like a Total Recall-esque. Another really good one that we have coming out, I think at the end of the year, at the very beginning of next year, we haven't determined yet. We're waiting for more issues to get done. It's called The Traveler's Guide to Flungoria. We did an ash can. Did you purchase that one, The Traveler? It's about a year ago.
Yes.
It's done by Sam Moore, who's a cartoonist out in New Zealand. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. This world, this Flungoria world that he created, has that feelings of Star Wars in scope, but Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of feeling. And I just can't wait for the world to reveal, because I think it's going to be a huge book. And there's a lot of multimedia attention. I mean, that's how we met Mosaic was because of this book. So it's always going to have a special place in my heart where that started the relationship with Mosaic. And he's such a talent, man. Again, I'm so impressed by artists who do everything for a book. Like how much it just, like Peter Rick that's another one that came out today, A King's Vengeance #2 by Peter Rick, who does everything. He did Once Our Land. Walter Osley did Shiver Bureau. I mean, you got Joe Schmalke doing We Don't Kill Spiders and Cherry Blackbird. He did those himself. We have a list that goes on.
Dave Chisholm.
Dave Chisholm with Canopus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It baffles me how people are that talented to do that. It's just impressive. But a lot going on. We have I don't know if you guys have been seeing the news, but it seems like comic companies are getting bought out right and left. Vault just got this huge amounts of funding.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Matt says, any new Scoot comics or plans on that imprint?
Oh, absolutely. So we have a new one coming out. It's a Sabretooth.
Oh, I'm really all about wannabes right now.
Oh, the wannabes. Yeah, it's so great. That one comes out. What's the date? Joey,
it's in the summer. It's coming out May, June time. I got
I think it's June.
In FOC now.
Or
no, not FOC. It's in IOC. You can pre-order it now.
Yep. That's a great book. We have the launch program, which I think we've talked about multiple times, which is the early reader program. And Richard has another idea called Journeys, Scoot Journeys, which I'll let him reveal. We have the next issue of Frontiers coming out, which is like our version of Highlights on steroids, as like I call it, because there's just too much meat in it as far as storytelling and games and activities. A lot of stuff planned for Scoot, but I think it's Sabretooth Dan versus Brunch is coming out shortly. And we're gonna square. And Sabretooth Dan is, again, another near-to-dear old OG. What was that, our second book, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, another very talented Gunner, does all of it himself. Like, it's so impressive.
Matt,
so it's new material.
Matt should totally submit Glopple to Richard Rivera.
Glopple
is a good book. It's a cute kid's book.
Yeah, send it through our submissions. Any of those listening right now, if you're we always keep our submissions open. And Brendan kind of handles response, but I would like to think, at least I'm under the impression, that we respond to everybody, whether it's yes or no, because I know being on the creator end, I submitted stuff in the past prior to Scout, and a lot of times you just don't hear anything. So that's one thing that we try to make it as a goal to at least let people know, And just go to the website under submissions and low res PDFs, right, Michael?
Yeah, please.
Yes, not gigantic zip drives. Those don't work. Those don't work well. Like,
it's a PDF, but they also send a recommendation for like a 13 terabyte hard drive to handle it. So it's just
yes, that's the other. Can get a little bit overwhelming, and it slows the bandwidth.
Yeah,
for sure. A lot of craziness.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of craziness. Yeah, I don't know if you saw. There's a big music company just bought Behemoth today.
What?
Really?
I did not see that.
Yep.
I thought they'd be bought by a video game company, if anything.
I thought they were already owned by a video game company. So
maybe they're matching up to make it.
Yeah, it's this record store guy. I think he manages Smashing Pumpkins and Travis Barker from Blink 182. Sounds a very, very positive deal. I've talked with the guy who purchased it. Really, really nice guy. And I don't know if you guys saw, I think it was last week, Vault just got this huge amount of funding by Metallica and then UTA, which is one of the biggest agencies in the world, and then another like a hedge fund like guru guy. So and then a month ago, Dark Horse got eaten up by a media conglomerate group. It just very interesting landscape in comics right now. Very interesting.
Wow, very
entertainment industry specifically. All of it has realized how connected we all are, and how much is coming out of comic books specifically that is making big moves for entertainment, video games and movies and TV. And it just kind of makes sense to put it all together. If you've got money from one that could raise up the other, it makes sense to work together.
And if you get these media groups, right, where where it's synergistic between the companies, like, hey, we own the studio, we own, we own a comic company, we own a production company, we own an animation company, we own a like a campus studio, we have distribution companies, we own, like, it just makes sense. And then if you get them all working together, so it's like this internal thing, it could just be massive. And it seems like there's a race going on for that, because if you think about it, comics are storyboards for TV and film.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for years. And really what it is like, how can you, like, here's the pitch, really. Take your storyboards and they can generate revenue for you. And I actually also act as a brochure to promote your TV or film, and a great proof of concept. You like the sound of that? You're already paying XYZ for these anyways. And how would you like it that can generate a revenue for you? And sometimes a very, very nice revenue stream. And of course, the answer is like, that's amazing. And I mean, tip of the cap to Kirkman, man. He really helped put, like, with Walking Dead, that success really put comics on the map. And it looks like he's doing it again with Invincible, because now it's putting animation. American, it's what, Michael, weren't you and I talking about it not too long ago, where like Invincible was essentially American manga? It's like the very first.
It's less so. It's the book itself is obviously standard comic book flair, but it's the handling of the adaptation from book to animation that makes it the first, I would say, real American anime. Because manga in general, it's not just that these are acting as general guidelines or storyboards. It is shot for shot reproduced. I can send you guys a link to a great guy who breaks it down. If a shot happens in the manga, it happens in the anime. And then, the studio might add a couple scenes to, build stuff out. But it is people want the direct translation. They're just like, we're not looking for somebody else's interpretation. We are following the author. We are following the creator. We want to see their vision come to life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's Invincible, very much exactly that. Obviously, a couple things were changed, but it's exactly the same story.
Yeah, it's great. And I love how they intertwine music into it too.
Oh yeah.
And like, my daughter is in love with it. My daughter's 13 years old and she absolutely loves it. But what we found on the Hollywood side is that, I mean, it's one of the reasons why the mall thing is getting done is because of Invincible. Yeah. So, well, yeah, it's.
Wait, what was that?
For the horse there, man.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Nobody's watching. Nobody's watching anyway.
Okay. So no, that's a big reason why it's happening, is because of Invincible. And with COVID, where like whole productions can be shut down, you can bring people in individually to do voices, right? And it's a lot less expensive for period pieces. Again, the mall being in the 80s, that's expensive if you're doing live action, right? Because you have to recreate the 80s. Now, there's enough, preserved malls across the United States that you could probably do it, but there's so much other stuff that goes to it. Like, it's just an exciting time. It really is. And the landscape is changing so much, and like, it almost seems like daily.
I love Marco's idea here. Is this the right time for a King Jiraiya cartoon? I think so.
Oh, hell yes. And believe me, we've sent it to the proper channels, Marco. You know.
I'm still all about these pop-up pizza shops. I'm serious. We could do pop-up comic shops everywhere, you know what I mean? Why not a pop-up King Jiraiya pizza comic shop? Let's do it.
I'm still working on sourcing the boxes. Believe it or not, it's incredibly hard.
Oh, I imagine. Have you just keep me posted. I had some ideas. Yep. And Marco, we'll reach out to you if you're listening, buddy. We'll I had a couple ideas of what to do. Because when Jenny said it's not your typical collector base for variants, but I have some pretty cool things we can work out, and we'll talk together as a team.
There's also those boxes where you put your comic books in, right? The hard boxes or whatever.
Yeah.
You can print something.
I got to show you guys this.
I'm all about those too.
This is what I love about like the comic community, and that again, to praise Comic Book Shopping Network. You build this community. You have fans that come back. They watch the shows. You really get to interact with your fans. one of our fans, his name is ISO Griffo. That's his tag on Whatnot. And yeah, and by the way, he's become so close with Drew, who does a lot of our shows. Drew Ferguson, the writer of Sam and His Talking Gun. I guess he's been officially adopted by them, by the Fergusons. So he's now wants to be called ISO Ferguson. But look what he sent us. I just got to show you guys this. I'll be back in a second.
That's funny. And Jen, so you said how you're trying to source these boxes to make something.
To have them to have Marco's already done art for the front of what would be a pizza box.
Oh, cool.
And I'm talking to somebody that could get them printed. We're just trying to figure out what the cost. Like, it's a different thing if they can say, get them done for us for like $1 and something, and it's a different thing if it's $5 a box. There's like at some point which you can't like make a price point that makes sense to either a pizza eater or a collector that if you get a comic book with it and a special pizza box, you gotta figure out a sweet spot if you're going to work with a pizza place, which we're working with a pizza place, to be able to have something that could go out to the general public as a special thing, as kind of like a, hey, you haven't tried out comic books before, but maybe you should.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. So he created this.
Oh my gosh, it's a little mini box.
It's a little mini box.
That's really dope. Listen, I was thinking of doing something like this. I was thinking of doing
and look what he's made it out of. It's like a priority, like one of the priority boxes. Like,
see,
how freaking cool is this?
I've seen stuff like this all over like Pinterest and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And I was gonna like, I had an idea of like creating some content for TikTok with it, and like making these little, like even making little comic books, like little tiny 1-inch, you know what I mean, comic books, and figuring out how to do that. So I love that somebody that now we just need to create little mini comic books and put them on there. I had a whole idea.
Well, you know what's in here? It's comic tags.
Yeah,
that's what he made a comic tag box.
That's so awesome.
And he collects all the comic tags, so he made his own box and then he sent us one. Just very, very cool. And by the way, totally want to mass produce those things, like use the dimensions, because it's so cool, right, Jen? Like, awesome. Like,
yeah. Because I mean, even if you didn't use it for like, it could be mixed use, right? You can keep your comic tags in there. If you don't have enough to fill a box, you can put regular like collectible cards.
Are you even when you go to those cons, you get those, you get the collectible cards and the sketch cards and all that stuff, and you have all if you're one of those geeks where you collect the sketch cards and you have your favorite creators draw on them, well, there you go, put them in there too. That's awesome.
Yeah. The other cool thing that I just discovered, I took my daughter her and her friend to the mall and as they went clothes shopping and everything, so doing my daddy duties, and we stopped at again, she loves manga, we stopped at Books A Million. That's in there. First of all, it was a shame that Books A Million doesn't have a copy of The Mall, even though it's inside the mall that it's based off of. I thought that was like not cool.
That needs to change.
What's cool is they sell these little frames, plastic frames.
That's
on the
awesome.
back of this little stand, and it's not a bag. You can't fit a bag and board comic. You can only fit a regular comic in. And I'm like, man, this is really, really cool.
Is there any have you put one in there yet?
I have. I put a Cities of Magic one.
So does it have a lot of border? Because that's the problem.
Zero border. I mean, it fits like
a glove.
It's just boom, like a glove. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's
really cool, and I really like the stands. Have it?
I got those ones up there, and they look horrible because they have all that border around it.
Yeah, no border, man. It just goes the frame. It's very impressive. I bought a few of them. We're going to use them out for displays here. So a little FYI, anybody check it out. Books A Million has these. I'm sure you can order them online. I haven't even looked yet.
$5 is a cheap price point too.
Yeah, $5.
Yeah,
it's real dirt cheap.
Is it hangable also, or only?
Yeah, like look at the back. It's got all the different hangable pieces.
It has every version you want.
Yeah, you can hang it this way too. I don't know, I guess for those very rare.
Yeah,
is a sideway book.
I've got one of those. I got Barrier from I think it's Image, and it was it's all those are sideways.
That won't fit though, because remember that one was a little bigger than the comics.
Super thick. It's super thick.
So annoying. Doesn't fit the bag and board.
Listen, it's so bad. I had it bagged and board, and I'm so mad because I have the whole entire run, and they were all near mint, right? And I bagged and board them. And you're exactly right. The corners are all tore up now. I'm so pissed.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're running. We went a little over, but again, we usually end our show with a question. Michael, we're gonna put you on the spot. So, can you think of a question that we'll all answer real quickly before the end of the show?
Uh.
Can be random. It is random, actually. It will be totally
coming from me. All right. If you had to choose, what would, because I'm assuming we're all big fans of comics here, right? Mm-hmm. Would you rather have an animated show based off of your favorite comic, or would you rather have, I don't know how many Magic the Gathering heads are here, a Magic deck created based off of your favorite show?
And
the only reason I think this is because of the box that you showed.
Magic cards.
Magic cards based off of Scout Comic IP would be incredible.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the show though. I want to watch it.
The magic thing would have to write out every single thing.
It would be its own production. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
I have a whole play style dedicated to the show that I like, and anybody who plays that type of D&D or story driven stuff.
You are creating an entire game. Yeah.
So I take it the two of you would go with Magic. Jen, what would you do? Animated or?
This is tough because it's specifically we've got a choice between specifically animated or Magic. So if it was a straight up movie, then it would be easy for me to choose. This is tough. Considering the crazy comic that I'm in love with right now is crossover, so I don't know how that would look animated.
I think that would be cool with that little stylization that they do with the little dots.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be more fun to have a Magic deck, honestly, because then we could kill Donny Cates over and over.
How meta, right? I don't want to spoil it for her. Speaking of meta, we got a really cool book called Meta coming out that's very similar. That comes out, I believe, in September. You're gonna love that one. Everybody is.
And there's another one. There's another one that's in our IP. It's some comics kill or something like that.
Comic book kills.
Comic books kill or something like that.
Yeah, it's a period piece about a murder that takes place at a comic book publisher in the 20s?
Yeah, that one was really interesting. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna read this one.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you everybody again for joining us. We will see you next week for the next episode of I Mustache You, a question with James, Jen, Jebediah, and Joey.